Welcome to Uncontained, episode 184. I'm your host, Aaron Static Render, and on the show today, I speak with guitarist and singer Andreas Amnell. And he is from Sweden, been in the United States for the last 3 years. Now he has two bands going on, one called Valley Sons, featuring the drummer from Lynyrd Skynyrd, or the 1990s Lynyrd Skynyrd, and Andreas has a solo project coming out on February 22nd, so keep an eye open for that, or an ear. You'll be able to check out a track from that upcoming solo album in just a little bit before we jump into the show. But a little bit about Andreas. He got into playing guitar from, get this, Guitar Hero. Yes, Guitar Hero was his gateway drug and inspired him to actually play guitar. Picked it up at the age of 14 and moved out here a few years ago and is pursuing music in LA. So this is his story, and yeah, did I forget to mention that he has the look of a pirate. He really looks up to Johnny Depp and digs that style. So you'll definitely want to check out his Instagram and social media, which is in the show notes. And yeah, check it out, listen to the music, and while you're surfing the social medias, I think people still say surfing the web these days, I don't know, but I'm bringing it back. And while you're surfing the social medias, make sure you swing by Uncontained Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and yeah, friend me, send me a message, I'll talk to you, we'll start a conversation, we'll have fun. And I am already thanking you for listening to the show, and I won't keep you waiting any longer because I know you want to check out this track off Andreas's upcoming solo project. It's titled Taste the Riches, and yeah, check it out. This is how Andreas Amnell lives uncontained.
Come
welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming on. We kind of got in contact through Gigs LA. I like giving those guys a shout out because they helped me get so many great guests. So I actually had a chance to listen to the track that you sent over today, Taste the Riches, that played at the beginning of the show. And I really dug it, man. It kind of had, the southern rock, classic rock vibe, but the guitar, which you play, kind of stood out to me. Your band's Valley of the Suns, and it kind of had a Rage Against the Machine vibe to it, in my opinion. That's kind of what I picked up anyway.
Yeah, of course. Actually, what you heard, Taste the Riches, is from my upcoming solo EP. So that's me singing, playing guitar, playing bass, and producing everything.
And so I was wrong. That wasn't Valley Sons. I apologize.
No worries.
I will have it introduced properly at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
But I'll leave this in. So you have two things going on, correct? Or is that the Valley Sons and then something going on with one of the members of Lynyrd Skynyrd?
Valley Sons is featuring the drummer from Skynyrd. Well, he played in Skynyrd in the 90s, and he played with Steve Earle like a year after he stopped working with Skynyrd. And then after he finished up with Steve Earle, I guess he kind of was done with like the road life, and for a long time I think he wasn't playing with anyone. But then, musicians, they can't help it. They just like get back into it and obviously start playing music again.
I think it's an entertainer thing, not just limited to musicians. Like once you're out of that creative aspect for a while, you start to feel that need to do that again, or else you don't quite feel like complete in some weird way. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's kind of,
I agree with that.
In a way, it's kind of like a creative sickness.
Yeah.
That keeps coming back. I have it too, my friend.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah. So. Let's just jump in talking a little bit about you. You're from Sweden.
Yep.
You moved here, like 3 years ago? I think that's what Facebook said.
Yeah, in November, it's going to be 3 years.
Okay, good. Facebook didn't lie to me. So what inspired the move to the United States from Sweden?
For a long time in Sweden, I was feeling somewhat like I didn't belong. I didn't always dress like a pirate, but it was always like different. I was always different, and always felt like my attitude was maybe different. Sweden is a lot of people at least are very introverted or conservative, almost not in a political way, but they're like conservative, like. People don't really stand close to each other at the bus stop or start conversations in the grocery store or whatever, as you do here in America. So interacting with other people can be very difficult for people from my country, and that usually it's kind of depressing. And also, at the time, at least, I was getting tired of, it's only sunny 3 months if you're lucky out of the year.
Oh, okay.
Now, after living in LA for almost 3 years, I'm starting to miss the seasons changing and fall and spring. But I think it was mostly the attitude of the people, the introvertiveness. I'm introverted too, but I think that I'm more extroverted than a lot of Swedish people are. And also, I was getting tired of the political climate in Sweden.
So you moved to this one.
Then I moved to this one where about the same thing, but it doesn't affect me because I can't vote anyway. So what do I have to lose,
Fair enough.
I don't think I'll ever be able to vote. I mean, I'm married right now. I live with my wife in this apartment. And we met close to a year ago. We got married a couple of months ago. We're going to have a second wedding in Sweden in a year or two. But for now, it's, we had to get married if I was going to be able to stay, basically. And we wanted to give our relationship more of a shot than a few months. If you feel like you found a person that you belong with, you want to give it a shot any way you can.
Definitely, dude.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. So, um, on the Sweden like culture wise, I think I heard this about Norway, and I know they're close to each
Hmm.
other. So I was wondering if it kind of had the same like kind of feel to it, where you don't want like nobody wants somebody to stand out above. They
Yeah.
want everybody to feel kind of on the same playing field. If you kind of stand up and want to shine, they're like, "What's wrong with that guy?" And they try to
Yeah,
bring you down
that
away.
sounds very accurate. It's called the law of Jante. Uh,
That's
and you
sick.
can actually find that on Wikipedia. I think there's an English translation. It's basically better that the rule is basically you're not going to come here and think that you're better than us. You're not going to stand above us. You're not going to think that you are capable of something we aren't capable of. You don't have abilities that nobody else does. Blah 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 blah. It's like basically just
Yeah.
stay down. You're not like better than anybody else. You can't do anything better than anyone else.
In a way it almost seems like social communism in a way, like not like economics, but like everybody has their own part, like everybody like with communism or whatever, everybody is the people, they all get the same thing theoretically,
I mean,
which
we are, I guess, from an American standpoint, we are a social country. We're socialists or whatever.
okay.
We're very much further left than your Democratic Party is. That's for sure. I mean, that's why we don't pay that much higher taxes than California, honestly, at least not here in Southern California. We pay like 30%, and here in LA, we pay like, what, 22%? So it's not that big a difference. And you get free
Yeah.
healthcare, you get free education, you get free dental, blah, 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 you know. And it's, I mean, I would love to be able to go see a doctor for some things, but I don't have health insurance. I can't do that.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. And then yeah, so that makes it kind of rough.
Yeah.
But free healthcare sounds nice. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that would be nice. But yeah, what probably inspired me to leave was, what you spoke of, like being basically if you stand out in the crowd.
What was the name of that rule again?
The law of Jante, Jante.
I actually interviewed an actress from Sweden, and I think she talked about that on the show. Well, it's been a little while, so I was a little rusty. But when you said that, I was like, okay, that law sounds
Hmm.
familiar. Um, so let's talk about your music for a minute. Like, how did you get in a culture where nobody stands out above each other? How did you get into performing music and developing your persona?
Well, I started playing guitar after hearing "Welcome to the Jungle" for the first time by Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
I had just I was selling. We have something in Sweden you call you're selling Christmas magazines. It's not really magazines. You're selling products from a magazine by walking door to door, knocking on their door, and asking, "Hey, do you want to purchase some stuff from this catalog?" And
Okay.
then at the end of the year, because this is around Christmas time, you've sold for blah 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 amount of money. Then you get to purchase from a different catalog for yourself stuff that you want. And one of those things was Guitar Hero because my friends had Guitar Hero. So
Oh,
I
nice.
played that for a little bit, and then I heard "Welcome to Jungle," and I was like, "What is this song? It sounds so cool." The guitar is like there was something about Slash's guitar parts that just really spoke to me because it was very
Oh yeah.
gritty and very soulful, and it's so bluesy. It just sounded very badass, and I was like, I want to start doing this, not on the game. I want to do this for real.
Yeah, so the game actually was kind of like your gateway drug into playing guitar. At least
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. And now there's actually a game that's been out for a couple years that I actually kind of want to get. It's
yeah,
called
yeah, yeah,
Rocksmith, where it actually teaches you to
yeah.
play
I
guitar.
haven't tried it, but I'm sure that it works fantastic.
Yeah, like I've been lazy and like I've had a guitar for years. I played for a while, then I kind of fell out of it. Now I just kind of
Mm.
look at it. Uh, and I'm thinking maybe if I got that, it'd be easier to jump into
Yeah,
playing some,
definitely.
you know.
So yeah, that led me into like the deflowering of music, I guess, or whatever, you know. I started playing
The
guitar.
deflowering of music.
My mom, she's kind of like a troubadour for fun sometimes. So she had her guitar laying around, an acoustic nylon guitar. She taught me a few chords, and then I kind of took it on my own from there. Uh, I turned 14 shortly after I started playing guitar, so all the money I got for my birthday, I used to purchase an Epiphone Les Paul. A used one,
Okay, nice.
because obviously a new one even was too expensive for me. But so I bought one of those, and I learned how to play on that. I still have it. It's sitting under a bed in Sweden right now because there's too much nostalgia for me to get rid of it.
I hear you, man. I hear you, and
Yeah.
I'm sure your guitar collection has grown over the years. And
Did grow for a while, and then it decreased incredibly fast because I had to make a big move.
was that when you moved to LA?
Yeah, within that like year and a half that I started planning for it, I sold off everything but like three guitars, I think. I have all of my guitars except for my first one here. But yeah, I had like 17 electric guitars at one time, I think.
Wow, nice, nice.
It's a lot for an 18-year-old, which I was when I acquired that amount of guitars.
So
Um,
you racked up guitars relatively quick because you started when you were 14 and by 18 you had 17.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would probably like somehow find ways to like. I think I always like saved if I ever got any money like handed to me as a gift or something, I put it away just so that when I had enough money, I could buy a guitar.
Okay, all right, cool, man. So
I guess so. It kind of led to an addiction as a guitar collector. It didn't mean I had super nice guitars, but I had a lot of guitars.
right on, right on. I'm sure they all had something that was interesting about them, or else like
Well, I did. I mean, some of them were nicer. I did have like a Gibson Explorer, which was my first Gibson, and also had when I turned 18. I purchased a custom shop Gibson Les Paul for $2,000 at the time, and that was probably like my favorite guitar. And then that guitar, it was only in my life for a year, and then it kind of like I was stupid and I traded it for something else, a different guitar, and that was a huge regret for a long time.
uh,
I actually bought I last year around this time I bought the same exact model, color, and yeah, it's only a year difference between that one and the one I had, and it looks exactly the same and plays the same. So I have that guitar in my life again, basically, and that's kind of nice. But
that's good, man. That's
yeah.
good. So your persona, you go by like we have the nickname Pirate Boy.
Oh,
Uh,
that's a joke.
that's a joke. Okay, so
That came from my first week in America. I wasn't actually in LA. I was in Albany, New York. I had a Facebook friend whose name is Jim Ryer, who I had talked to on Facebook for a few years. And when I started like posting on Facebook that I was gonna move to LA, he wrote to me and we started talking a bit more again because you know how you go like on and off talking on Facebook with people.
yeah,
And he was like, I think that it would benefit you if you stop by and stay with me for a week because America is a different climate than Sweden. The people are different, and it's probably better for you if you maybe stop by at someone who you've talked to at least a couple of times over webcam, and just get the feeling of what it's like to be around Americans and get used to speaking English every day.
yeah,
So I stopped by his place, and I mean, obviously, the way I dress and the way I wear eyeliner and I wear fedoras. I mean, it's obvious that I've taken a lot of inspiration from Johnny Depp for my fashion style or whatever. And he started calling me Pirate Boy because of that.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's where it came from. It's a joke. It's more like almost like a mocking of my rip off of Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I kind of dig the look, man. Got. So when did you develop the pirate inspired fashion? Obviously from Johnny Depp, but was it like right away after the Pirates movies came out?
I think that, I didn't see them when they came out. I was like 8 when they came out. So, but I think that the first time I saw them, I just thought there was something intriguing about the character Jack Sparrow, and I was like, that guy looks like a rock star.
You do know who he modeled him after, right?
Keith Richards, yeah.
Yes. So. Yeah, that's not a bad if you're a rock star person to model yourself after. Keith Richards, he's had some longevity to say the least.
Oh my God, yeah. So I mean, that just it developed over time. I think it was like, maybe around the age of 19 or 18 that I started like wearing like dress shirts a lot and like a vest over that.
Okay.
Eyeliner, I think I started wearing that earlier. So that's kind of got in and out of like being a phase for me, like if I wear eyeliner or not. But I think that around 3 or 4 years ago, I started wearing it almost every day. Then, like about a year ago or so, I think I stopped because I was in a very turbulent relationship with my ex, and I just stopped caring a little bit, maybe about how I dressed and looked.
Fair enough.
When I started dating my wife, I kind of came back into it again, and now I dress this way again, which I feel better about myself doing.
That's good, man. That's good. All right, so let's talk about your projects coming up here in just 1 second. But I have one more question about Sweden and the music scene there.
Yeah.
Like, now you're very just pretty much straightforward, like rock with, like, as I said, a little from the track I heard had a little bit of Rage influence on it. Now Sweden is not known for just straightforward rock. It's like a lot of it that we know here is like the Swedish death metal.
Yep.
And like crazy double bass. Does that influence your music at all, or were you into that in Sweden? Or
no? So the Swedish bands that I like are probably bands you never really heard of, except for maybe one. You've probably heard of a band called Europe, right?
Europe, yes.
Yeah, the Final Countdown. They're like a melodic rock band, so that kind of it had some influence. And then there are probably more Europe-known bands like Heat, Hardcore Superstar, Crash Diet at one point had some influence on me, and also a band called the Electric Boys, which most prominently would be the biggest influence. They're like, if you actually listen to them and then you listen to Taste the Riches, at least the main riff, you would be like, oh, that's where the influence comes from.
So it's not Rage. It's the Electric Boys.
Like Rage Against the Machine, and they did. I wrote the music for that track during a period where I was trying to put together like a rap rock band, which was supposed to sound like a combination between Rage Against the Machine and Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
But I wasn't supposed to be singing on the track. That's something that happened very recently. Electric Boys, they kind of have that heavy, like, funk metal groove, very blues driven, and it's not very up tempo. Most on their older records, it's like kind of a little like the same tempo as Taste the Riches, where it's like very slow, heavy, and groovy.
Gotcha.
So that would probably, I saw them for the first time in 2011, and that just like opened my world to something new,
Right on, man. Right on. So
so the sleaze metal scene is actually almost as big as the death metal scene in Sweden. Just that I think that the rock scene here, they're not as aware of it because Gothenburg is called the hometown of death metal or something like that.
So isn't there like bands like is Strapping Young Lad from Sweden, or is that like Norway?
Oh, I'm not sure about that. You've probably heard of In Flames though.
Yeah.
And
definitely heard of In Flames.
Ghost is like a band that has become very popular here. They're more, I think they sound like a pop rock band, honestly. Okay, the lyrics are not, very poppy, but the music it's almost like a Green Day at some points, or like Foo Fighters.
Really, I've heard of Ghost. I know who you're talking about, but I've never actually listened to
I've only
Ghost.
listened to a few tracks. It's very basic. The music is extremely basic for a rock band. It's a lot of power chording, straight up chords, like not a lot of like riffing going on where you're single
Okay.
note blues riffs or anything like that.
So it's like three chord, like punk or
Almost
like
like that, but
rock.
more in a pop rock way of playing it.
Okay.
In my opinion,
Interesting.
people might get really pissed at me for saying that, but I don't give a fuck. So
Fair enough, man. It's good to have your own opinion, man, even if it's the unpopular opinion, you know? It's good to have
I have a
your own.
lot
You
of
can't
unpopular
just
opinions, I think.
Same here, man. Same
Yeah.
here. But all right. So you the Taste the Riches is off your solo
Yeah.
project. Can people get that music now, or is
No,
that coming
so
soon?
I'm gonna release my solo EP on my birthday in February next year. On my 25th birthday, I'm releasing my first debut solo EP of me singing and playing everything. The only thing I'm not gonna be playing is drums because I'm not a drummer in any way. I
Okay,
can
fair
program
enough.
drums that sound almost like a drummer, but I can't play what I'm writing on that instrument.
Fair enough. So are you gonna have a drummer come play, or are you gonna like do digital drums?
I have a friend in I have a friend in Sweden who's most likely gonna play on that album. I've known him since I was 14, and he sounds he's like kind of like Dave Grohl on drums. So
Okay. All right.
yeah, so he's
Very
gonna
cool,
play
man.
that, and then I'm probably gonna keep most of the guitar tracks and vocal tracks on the demos, and just start mixing in the real drums with the demos.
So, February
27th.
February 27th. All right, February 27th, debut solo EP coming out.
Hmm.
Do you have a name for the project yet,
Uh,
or is that still in
no,
progress?
I just have the name of the EP it's gonna be Burn Down Hollywood, which sounds a lot more dramatic than it probably is. It doesn't mean literally like set the whole place on fire. It's more about the Hollywood persona, and what I've like noticed the 3 years I've been here, and even in like the rocker scene, like what you see when you're like from maybe not even like when you're a foreigner and you know what your culture and what the rockers in your culture are up to. You it's kind of
Yeah.
like, whoa, I didn't know that people still thought it was the 80s here. I didn't know that people were trying to fuck each other over on such a huge basis in the rocker scene, and just
Oh
get.
yeah, like how so? Like you hear stories of it, but
I mean, people are unwilling to do anything for each other here. Even if you're supposed to be friends, it's like, and you ask them because you might have helped them in the past. Because I like to help friends if I can. That's just part of
yeah.
my culture. But if I ask a friend, hey, could you maybe like try and introduce me to this person so this could open a door for me? They're like, no, that's not how it works.
See, I don't get that. I don't get that. Like,
No, it's so frustrating, and I'm like, fuck
yeah.
you, dude. And then I'm still friends with the person, but I'm like, you're a fucking dickhead.
Exactly. I'm kind of like in the mindset where, if one person, the more people doing good in the scene, the more attention the scene's going to get. So there's more attention for everybody to go around. It doesn't have to be
Yeah,
like, oh, I giving away my spot if I give somebody an introduction. They might
yeah.
just be threatened by your music, but, like,
I don't know. I mean, these people, they play in bands that are semi, you know, what's it called? They are kind of like successful, but not on maybe like, so they're going on stadium tours,
okay,
but
are they doing national tours still? Like touring?
I know one of my friends. He just went on tour in a couple of states, and he played like he was on the road for a couple of months, and he's a friend from MI, and we've hung out a lot. In my opinion, we're really good friends. But I asked him like recently, like, you mind helping me out a little bit? Like, I know that you're getting to play this jam night at the Whiskey, and you know the person who organizes it. Could you maybe introduce me so I could maybe get a foot in the door? He was like, no, that's not how it works.
Man, that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that's kind of like, I wouldn't do that. I would be like, hell yeah, I'll introduce you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the way it should be.
I would speak him up. I would talk him up so that he would actually get an offer to like play. Because I know he's a good guitar player,
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, you mentioned you went to MI, Musicians Institute. And I've
Yep.
actually had a few people on my show. Now, like one of them was a guitar instructor, Greg Harrison. Did you have him as an instructor, or did?
I never met Greg, but I did see a lot of videos of him that other instructors showed me when I was at the school.
Okay.
And he's a really fantastic player. He's a true badass. But yeah, I never met him or anything. I think he doesn't teach lessons like for classes. He's just available as a private instructor.
Yeah, he's now moved, I believe, to Omaha. Like that's where he
really?
is, Omaha, Nebraska, and yeah, that's where he just moved there when I interviewed him. So I think maybe he'll do like online stuff or whatever. But he used to play for the band Head PE, which was a national touring act here and stuff.
Yeah.
But enough about him, because he had his own episode. This is your episode.
Yeah.
And want to focus on what you have going on. So with your other band, Valley Sons, what's going on with them? Do you have any music coming out? Are you just touring with them?
No, so lately we've been doing a lot of shows outside of LA, and we did even go on a 3-day tour up to San Luis Obispo, and then we went up to I can't remember what the city was called. Sorry. And we opened for Dennis Quaid, who's he's a Hollywood movie star.
Yeah.
We opened for him in Bishop, and we played 2 shows up there. So we've been having a lot of success outside of LA. They've been playing our songs on the radio up in Bishop and that area. So we're getting that worked out. And they've told us in the city of Bishop that we're actually like we're kind of like their house band if they ever have like major acts coming through.
Oh, very cool.
So we're getting settled in Bishop, and they're helping us out a lot, and we're super grateful for that. We are still working on our first album as the Valley Sons. We've been working on this album since like over a year and a half, since shortly after I joined the band. They were a different band, and when I joined, we decided to rename the group just to be fair to everybody, because the band they had at the time was Custer Sims Meyer, which was the member's last name.
Yeah.
My name isn't Meyer, so I couldn't join the band. My last name is Amnell,
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
So we rehearsed at the time in Sun Valley, so then we flipped it around, and then we changed Sun to Sons, like we're the sons of something.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Working on an album with them, does that have a release date yet, or?
Oh, it changes every month. Every time we play live, Kurt announces, "Oh, it's coming out next month," and next month it's not out. We're still working on it because we have to get the mixes done properly. We're kind of doing it on our own, but I'm not really involved in the mixing process.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because I'm quite used to mixing, but I think they're maybe like a little scared of like me taking over that process, because they're like, they want it to sound a certain way. They're like older guys.
Yeah.
I'm the young kid. I don't have as much experience maybe with some things, so their idea of it all might be that maybe I'll make it sound nothing like they're expecting it to sound. So they're working on it themselves. So I'm just staying out of it. I'm just letting them do their thing. I mean, I'm just happy to be out playing, honestly, I guess, at the time. And we're having some good success because people are digging what we're doing.
Nice, man. Nice. So where
Yeah.
can people check out like music from Valley Sons? Like do they have a YouTube where there's live performances? Obviously that album's not out yet,
Yeah, you
but
can actually go on our website, valleysons.com, I think it is. Let me check real quick.
all right.
Yeah, it's valleysons.com. And you will find pictures, you will find tracks from the 2 records they released as Custer Sims Meyer. And if you go on YouTube, you can find a lot of live performances. And if you hit us up on Instagram or Facebook and give us a like, you can find some live performance shots there too. You'll probably see a video of me basically abusing my guitar.
Okay, well, I
always
won't
think-
ask for too much of a description of that. They'll have to go check it out.
Yeah, of course. No, I always tend to like go Hendrix on my guitar at the end of the show.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
It's a good part of the performance. You know, you have to have like the entire performance. The set list has been building like kind of like an ice cream cone, and at the end, the last song is where we do a cover of Gary Clark, which a song called "Numb."
Okay.
And it's a one riff song basically. So you just play that riff over and over, and you like I put on a fuzz face, which kind of makes a lot of noise. So basically the whole song, I'm playing that riff, and in between the riff, I'm kind of like doing noise and crazy like stage things because I don't know, it seems to get people going a lot. So I just keep going at it. I'm just getting more intense and more intense per performance. Throwing my guitar on my shoulder, taking off the guitar and smacking it against like the wedgers and stuff like that.
All right, man. So it sounds like you got a good live performance going.
Hopefully.
So, like, okay, now, what advice do you have for somebody who wants to get into the music industry or even is in an area that might not be good for where they're at? Like, for you wanting to be a rock star in Sweden wasn't necessarily the best location to be. What advice do you have for somebody looking to get started or relocate?
Okay. So, actually, I have to be honest with you here, Aaron. I had more success in Sweden than I had here.
Really? Okay.
I was getting to the point where with Yardstones, my band in Sweden, we were playing we played the biggest rock festival in Scandinavia.
Nice.
So we opened, we played the same day as Slash, Motley Crue, and Def Leppard.
Damn, nice, man. So you're starting to get some recognition there.
Yeah, we were, and we thought we were actually gonna get like some management offering, or because we made that happen on our own. We didn't have anyone book that show for us.
Yeah.
And we thought maybe we will get an offer from someone to like help us out and grow further, but we never got an offer, and we kind of knew why, and we had to change up the lineup a little bit, but then that turned out to not work. I'll tell you about that later.
Okay.
But what we did when we started out to promote yourself professionally, in my opinion, when you start a band, what you first do is not to start social media for the band immediately, because if you do, it's kind of like, you're like 2-second like release.
Okay.
Almost. You get like a couple of likes, but you don't have anything to show people. You don't have professional pictures. You don't have at least like professional recorded demos to show off, or an EP or anything. You don't have content. You need to have content before you go and get everything out there. So my advice is, when you put together a band, you start writing songs. This is a long process. It can be almost a year, because finding band members will take you a while if you're starting by yourself. So write the songs and make sure that you're happy with everything in the songs. Like, rehearse them well, practice your harmonies, everything. Make sure that you have solo written out, unless you're a great if you're a really good improviser. And then start recording these songs. And in the same process, while you're recording these songs, I would say that you should start deciding on a look for your band, and you have to have a band name. Maybe hire someone who's educating themselves to become a graphic artist.
Yeah.
Have them design your logo. And that you got to build that. You can't just like start a Facebook page and hope that people are gonna like something if you just post pardon my language, but a really crappy logo and an unprofessional picture.
Yeah.
You don't have like a proper recording of your music that highlights what's good about your act. So once you've prepared everything, and you also have to have a website. You have to have your own website, and you have to have an Instagram. You have to have a Facebook. Maybe a Twitter if you're into that. I don't use Twitter. I have an account that just sits there. What am I supposed to write? Kofifi.
Kofifi, yes. That was a big trend for a while.
Yeah, no. So and then you have to link to all of that on your website. And I've learned how to build my own website because I went to MI and they had a class on that. So I haven't been able to pay my yearly fee for that, so it's down at the moment. But I did make my own website, and it did look pretty professional. Of course, someone else could have done it better, and I was going to have a friend who's a content writer rewrite all the content on it, because I just tend to over-explain shit.
Fair enough.
And it doesn't sound very interesting. But yeah, have everything of that ready. When you have everything ready, that's when you start posting it. When you make a Facebook site, because you have to link it on your website, make it unpublished. People can't see it unless you're an administrator. And then you start putting up the pictures and making your site look professional. Make sure you have shows booked shortly after you release all of your content, and just fucking go nuts online with it. Just post it on Instagram, your Twitter or whatever, your Facebook, on your website, and then invite everyone on your Facebook list and your Instagram list. Send in professional private messages, because people don't give a shit if you invite them through the website. You have to actually write to them personally and be like, "Hey, buddy, how you doing? Sorry for not writing for a while. Can you please like my Facebook site? We got a lot of exciting stuff going on."
Yeah, nobody likes getting that message like, "Hey, you have been invited to like so-and-so," that canned message that Facebook sends out.
No, I usually tend to ignore those things, because unless you're like cool enough to like write to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned that the hard way, because I used to like stuff, but when I was invited, to be nice and be a friendly person, but... And it's the same thing when you have shows. You have to write to people personally and invite them, because they're not going to give a shit if you're inviting them through the event.
Yeah. Okay. So a personalized message. This is actually rolling right perfectly into my next question about what are you currently doing to promote yourself. So let's just continue talking on this right now. Do you have, besides personal messages to people asking them to like your page, come to your shows, what else, like social media wise or otherwise, are you doing to promote yourself?
Well, right now I'm not doing a lot on my Facebook. I have an artist page from me, but I'm not doing a lot on it. I'm just putting up videos of me playing a solo here or there, or like basic content, which is not very professional. I know I'm sitting here and like scrutinizing and saying you have to do this and this and this, but I am like posting when I am playing the jam nights, or I try to post when I'm playing out with the Valley Sons. But I do tend to go more on the Valley Sons page, because I'm kind of the social media expert out of the three of us.
Okay, fair enough.
So I post most of the content on our Facebook and Instagram. So I'm the one promoting that. Bob kind of handles the website, because he's a graphic artist and he's really good with that. He actually used to work for Disney, and he made like all of their movie flyers for like 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, so...
Yeah. So yeah, currently I think that I'm just like, I did post about our interview today. I posted about it yesterday and posted about it today. I'm probably going to post about it tomorrow when you have a link ready.
It will be coming out on Tuesday. So
that's fine. I'll write
just
about
so
it
you
then.
know what day it comes out, and I will be posting about it then as well. So got a few things going on promotion wise. Yeah. Now, like, what would you say would be, I'm going to switch this up a little bit, a highlight and a low light that you'd care to share with the Uncontained audience? And then one thing that you had to work to overcome that was like, oh my God, this was tougher than I thought.
Life or just in the music industry?
Typically music industry. We'll keep it with the entertainment theme.
Yeah. Highlight of my career was probably the festival I mentioned. But also working with Kurt and Bob has been a highlight because they're such talented musicians. But I am really excited about, right now I'm the most excited that I've decided to like actually try to do something and on my own and try to sing. Because whenever I would try to sing in the past, I'm just, I've been shut down a lot. And now I've actually been trying to like work on it. I'm still working on it, obviously. I'm an incredibly like perfectionistic person. So I hear the small things that I don't like, and that's what my mind starts going off on. Not, oh, this actually sounds pretty good. No, it's not like, oh, you didn't get that word, like the pronunciation right on that word.
Yeah.
You have to re-record that.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Like,
so, but I'm excited about that, and I'm hoping to put together like a live act based around this project where I can go out and play shows. Because it seems like a lot of people are putting together solo acts, but they're not referred to as solo acts, they're referred to as bands. So, but it's usually the singer hiring in musicians to play with them live.
Yes.
So they are official band members, but they're getting paid to play with you. So I'm thinking maybe that's what's going to end up having to happen, where I pay people to play with me on live shows. My wife is actually, she's a very good pianist and keyboard player, so she's going to play with me.
Okay, and you don't have to pay her. No,
no, we already, you know, we have a shared economy.
I hear that.
So, that's what I'm excited about, that because it's like I'm used to being a side guy, because a guitar player, even if they're the lead guitar player, they are a side guy. They're not the singer.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about making myself heard as both a guitar player and a singer, because I think that I'm starting to hear like some good qualities in my voice that I like when I'm singing, and not when I haven't just woken up and had too much coffee. Now, a low light for my music career was probably the majority of 2016. And this is what I was talking to you about earlier with the Yardstones band in Sweden. We switched out the singer.
Okay.
Because we realized, we already knew kind of when we played that festival that he's not the best live singer. And I don't mean to like hurt anyone's feelings by saying that. It was just like when the notes aren't in the place where they need to be, and also the attitude wasn't probably like it should have been. You know, I was presenting a lot of material in 2015 when this festival gig was. A lot of new material for a second album, and he basically like shut me down on every piece of music I came with.
Oh, wow.
This sounds too much like this. This sounds too much like this. I don't get where this is going. So that's when I started working with a different singer outside of Yardstones, who was extremely talented, who I had heard sing live. It was probably the best singer I've ever heard live, actually. Who is a rock star, a professional singer at a very high level. It was probably the best local singer I had heard ever. And he was incredibly productive. He works in a studio now because he had to move. So we switched out our singer at the time to this guy, who I ended up writing like 20 songs within 4 nights.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. So we wrote all those songs, and we were like, I sent them to a friend who I knew had contacts in some record companies. And we did actually start talking with Sony about a record deal to release this album. But eventually they kind of went back on their word, and they said, we don't think we're going to go through with this. And because you're not out playing repeatedly, and we just don't see where this is going right now. So maybe if you have more shows, maybe we'll talk about it in the future.
Okay.
Now, the singer who we have brought into the band, he was not from Sweden. He's from New Zealand. He was living in Sweden very roughly because he wasn't making a lot of money because he didn't have the proper papers to work legally. So he had to take like a lot of under-the-table gigs. So it was frustrating for him to get turned down when he finally got like in talks with a big record company. So he decided to move home to New Zealand, and that's when, Yardstones basically died with that. And that was the low light, because we had written the music that we wrote together never got released, and it was just like 20 really high quality rock songs that I think was on par with a lot of the professional acts that are out playing big tours.
That's rough, man. That's rough. It sucks that sometimes the pieces just don't fit together, and you have to start something over again. So, like, now that you have your solo project coming out, are you going to be able to use some of those songs?
I'm thinking about playing them live. It's just the riffs are more. Or, the vocals, he's a tenor, he's a high tenor. I'm starting to get there, and I am singing quite high on Taste the Riches, but I'm still getting used to going up there. It's like, without blowing my voice out after a few hours. And also, you have to keep in mind that it's really hard to play guitar and sing at the same time. And the songs I wrote with that singer, they're like, the riffs are kind of like, they're classic rock riffs still, but it's like a lot of things to think about at the same time if you were to do both parts.
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
So you'd have to figure it out somehow, or just practice your ass off doing that. But it's like he already writes melodies that are really hard to sing.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. So now, with your solo project coming up, with that coming up, like, what do you want people to take away and feel or remember about your solo project when they hear the new album or see you perform it live?
Yeah. So I'm the kind of guy, I'm really against people who write lyrics about how fantastic it is to do cocaine or have bitches and money and blah, 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 or I don't like rockers that write, oh my God, it's not the 80s anymore. You can't write songs like, oh, we've been dancing with Mr. Brownstone, or I'm on a night train.
Yes.
So I write about real life stuff, what I've seen in LA, things that I've had to experience and endure while I've been here. So Burn Down Hollywood is about what I've seen in the rocker community. And maybe I am saying it in a critical way, people having their parents pay their bills while they're out partying and doing drugs and drinking. Taste the Riches is about, I actually wrote the lyrics for that right after I got laid off about 2 months ago. So some of it's kind of about how it is being a unemployed musician trying to bring in money.
Okay.
And how you come to LA and you think that you're going to taste the riches. You're going to taste the sweet waters of success.
Nice.
So I write about the reality of my life, basically, and how I see things. One of the other songs is, there's a ballad that's going to be on there that I wrote to my wife, actually. So that's probably like a more of a nicer song, I guess, and not such a angry song.
Okay.
And then another song is, it's about Native Americans and how my point of view, like how they've been mistreated in the American society a lot.
Okay, as a foreigner, what is your perspective on that? That could be kind of interesting.
Well, the song is basically I'm still working on it, but the main subject is that I kind of wish they could take back their pride and their land, and there at least there are reservations like in Utah, for example, for several tribes I know of, that I think the government isn't allowed to touch. But I don't know if you've heard about the Dakota pipeline for a few years ago, for example.
Yes.
That was like a
definitely.
huge thing that was going on right as I came here, and that it was very upsetting, because I think that the indigenous people, they've gone through a lot.
That they have. That may be an understatement of some sort right there too.
Yeah, and now some people might come and say that, hey, you're kind of a hypocrite because what? Johnny Depp just filmed a perfume ad in the native lands, and that got a
Yeah.
huge that got a lot of people upset. I don't know if you heard about this or saw the ad.
I didn't. I kind of missed out on that one.
I
But
think that at that point, I think that people are just upset to be upset. They don't understand the whole context of that, and they don't understand that sauvage is a French word for basically being an untamed soul that is free.
okay.
And they thought that sauvage sounded too much like savage.
Yeah, yeah. So, oh, okay. I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
You're
You see how
calling
that
Indians
people.
savage. All right. And I gotcha. I'm
Oh.
picking up what you're laying down now.
Uh,
I didn't hear about
so
that,
people are
but
probably going to be kind of upset when I'm first having a song on there called "Breath of Life" that is me speaking for the indigenous people, and then I'm having another song called "Pirate Brother," which is about Johnny Depp.
right on, man. Right on. Well, I'm looking forward to checking that out. So February 27th,
Hmm.
that should be out. Your birthday, and one of these months in the near future, you should have the Valley Sons album out.
Yep.
Once they finish mixing and mastering it. Now, so you're done recording it. You're just in like post production on that right
Yeah.
now, and that's all coming up. And I have one final question for you.
Hmm.
But before I ask that question, first, where can people find you on social media, the internet? Like, what's your corner of the internet? Where can they get a hold of you and find your work?
You can follow me on Instagram. I have two. The one that is more based on music is ADDEAMNELL, which is Addy Amnell.
Okay.
My other account is called Bohemian Pirate or something like that. Pirate Style or Pirate Life. Bohemian Pirate Life.
Okay, well, if you want to send me the link
I will
to
send it
that,
to
I
you.
will put them in the show notes.
Yeah.
So people aren't guessing, is this the right pirate?
Is this the right pirate geek? Um, yeah, and then you can also go in and like my Facebook page, which I am gonna get a lot better at updating, where I will post about updates on my upcoming solo EP and Valley Sun's first album, and maybe other projects, because I am trying to work out this whole situation with the Yardstones album right now.
Right on, man. So, yeah, as I said, send me the links and I will get those in the show notes.
Absolutely.
Andreas, man, it's been great having you on the show today. I've enjoyed talking to you, talking about, Sweden, what it's like to be a pirate, and your two upcoming projects, man, that both seem very cool. So I have one final question for you. It's a title question of the show. Andreas Amnell, how do you live uncontained?
I just push through, and I do whatever it takes to get where I need to be. If people aren't helping me out, then I just have to make it happen on my own. And if that means that you have to fuck some people over, then you just do it.
Right on, man. Right on. So, like, what would be like a sacrifice or two that you had to make to get to where you are?
Definitely, you know, lineup changes in bands if they were holding you back. And I've had to compromise for issues in my life where maybe a roommate stole from me, or you just have to do it on your own and learn how to basically you just learn how to do all of it on your own. You just don't rely on other people, especially not in a city like LA where nobody's reliable, honestly.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much once again. I have one final thing for you to do, Andreas.
Yeah.
And that is sign off the show. Will you do me the honor of signing off the show tonight?
Keep your eyes out for new music. You can follow me on social media. I am Andreas Amnell, and I live uncontained.
And that does it for another episode of Uncontained. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Andreas for joining me. Make sure you check out the show notes to hit him up on social media so you can keep up to date on when the new Valley Sons album is coming out, and also has his solo project coming out featuring the track you heard at the beginning of the show, Taste the Riches. So once again, thank you for listening, and until next time, live uncontained.